Well, welcome everybody. My name is Julia Mahoney, and I work for the Denver Office of Nonprofit Engagement. And today you're joining the information session for our pitch competition, specifically for our Save Green, Be Green conference. So we welcome you, and we're excited to share our pitch competition with you guys. Um, and with me today, I have Will and Emma. And Will, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I am Will Austin. I'm the director of the Office of Nonprofit Engagement, and we are the presenters of this fine conference.
And then we also have Emma here from Energy Outreach Colorado.
Yeah, I am the Nonprofit Energy Efficiency Program Coordinator, and we are partnering with D-ONE on this exciting conference and really excited for this opportunity and to share a little bit more about energy efficiency upgrades.
Great, thanks you guys. And if I didn't say, I'm the Senior Program Manager at the Office of Nonprofit Engagement. And this is my second year doing this conference. And last year we had to do it virtually, which it was still great, but we're really excited to have it in person at New Hope Baptist Church and have our networking reception at Carl Madison as well. And sorry, Will, there's someone trying to join Daryl, but he doesn't have the link. Do you have Daryl's number to give him a call?
I do.
Okay, great.
So do I need to text him the link?
Let's see. He just emailed me. Let's see.
Well, you do that,
Yeah.
and Tiffany, why don't you say a quick hello, and then I'll go into the
Sorry about that.
intro.
No worries. Hi, everyone. My name is Tiffany, and I'm also on the D-ONE team, and I'll be helping out today, just managing the Zoom room.
So while Julia is doing that, she is our all-star quarterback of this conference. And so just to put things in perspective before we go into the pitch competition specifically, this Save Green, Be Green conference, the whole idea of it was really this idea of saying, hey, with nonprofits who either manage or own their own facilities, is there some way we can kind of reach out and do more? And so that's what the NEAT program that Energy Outreach Colorado does. And this conference is cut from that same kind of cloth. It's like we really are exploring ways that nonprofits and we put a specific emphasis on churches just because many of them own their own buildings. And so we're really looking at it, and the idea is that if you as a nonprofit have the ability to save money, you can put what you save back towards mission. So at the end of the day, that's really what this is about. So the more money we can help you save, the more money you can put back towards mission. And so that's really it in a nutshell. There's nothing magical about what we're trying to get done here. It's really that simple that, not only are you kind of helping to save Mother Earth, but you also have the opportunity with this stuff to get back to contributing to mission. So again, at the end of the day, that's what this is about for us. And I know Julia will talk a little bit more about the conference and some of the pieces there, but this pitch competition really was about how do we bring some level of excitement. And this really, the idea came from what you see at a lot of the entrepreneurial type conferences. They have these kind of pitches that you pitch to a panel of investors or experts, and then depending on what the concept is and what the scoring is, you can walk away with some funding. So we wanted to bring that type of thinking to this and give nonprofits an opportunity to share with us some ideas that they may have about how to make their buildings more efficient, but and walk away with some funding, and not just saying, hey, that was a great presentation, you get a blue ribbon. We wanted you to walk away with some money that you could actually implement some of the things that you pitched. So I'll turn it back over to Julia. But again, at the end of the day, this thing where we bring in our office is about how do we increase the capacity and utilization of nonprofits. So this energy space really allows us to intersect there. So I'll stop there and turn it back over to Julia.
Great. And so I know Will kind of touched on our office and how it's the 4th annual conference that we're having. And, we really want to support nonprofits and faith-based organizations. But specifically, so for the conference, there's 12 sessions and topics will cover anything from energy efficiency upgrades. That's one thing Emma will be talking about during the conference is the NEAT program. We also have topics including outdoor landscaping and how to make your outdoor landscaping more, more energy efficient or more environmentally friendly. We also have topics on health and the environment, such as, air quality, indoor air quality, and then again, funding opportunities from local, state, and federal sources. And new to this year, which we're really excited to introduce, is a whole piece around energy equity and energy justice and how that plays into this realm of energy efficiency and what that looks like in your communities. So we're really excited to bring in this energy equity and energy justice piece. So specifically for the pitch competition, we'll go back to this one. Really this pitch competition is an opportunity for you all to provide a small proposal. We're not talking about anything pretty big here. And there's going to be 3 prize tiers. So we're going to have 2 $2,500 prizes, then we'll have a $5,000 prize, and then we'll have a $9,000 prize as the top prize. And these are essentially going to go to however we score your proposals. And so the criteria to enter the pitch competition, there's more, but these are some of the big ones. You have to own or manage your own facility. And when we say manage, we also say rent, and you can be in a multi-year lease rent agreement with the landlord. You have to pay your own energy costs. And then we also would like to say preference will be given to smaller nonprofits that apply, just because we, as Will said, being the Office of Nonprofit Engagement, we always shoot to build the capacity of our nonprofits in the community, especially our smaller ones. So a little bit about the competition process, and you all will have opportunities to ask us questions at the end as well. So the first thing, you guys are all here, which is great, is to attend this information session to ask any questions that you may have and to learn more about the pitch competition as a whole. After that, we're between now and June 16th, we'll give you some time to look at that application online. The link is online, and to look through the questions and to think about what your proposal could look like. Again, we want this to touch on energy efficiency upgrades, so there must be an energy efficiency component. And then, if you have questions as you're working through this, you feel free to reach out to us as well. Once you submit a proposal via this link or via the link that we provide you guys, we will choose finalists for the pitch competition, and we will notify them by June 20th, by the end of the day, which is Tuesday. Now, while that doesn't give you much time between Tuesday and Thursday of the conference, we suggest that you submit a PowerPoint of your proposal as well with your pitch. So that way you don't have as much work to do in between when finalists are announced on the 20th and when they should be presented at the conference. The finalists will then present their pitches at the conference on Thursday, which is Thursday, June 22nd at New Hope Baptist Church. And this will be done during the lunch hour. So each finalist will have 10 minutes to present their proposal or their pitch. And then we will have a panel of about 5 individuals that will be able to ask questions for about 5 minutes. So your whole part will last about 15 minutes. And then our panel for the second half of the conference, they'll talk through the proposals, and they will award amounts to all of the pitches that we hear. And then we will announce those award amounts at the networking reception, which is at Carla Madison Rec Center later in the afternoon. So that's a real simple overview of the pitch competition process. And there is an FAQ guide about the pitch competition on the Save Green, Be Green conference website as well. So I definitely encourage you to take a look at that and reach out with any questions that you have if they're not answered here or as you work through the process of your organization creating the proposal. And then the last section we'll get to before we let you guys ask questions, Emma is going to be talking about upgrades and what upgrades could look like for your facility. So that way you have an idea of what kind of projects you could propose in your proposal. So Emma, I will turn it over to you.
Thanks, Julia. Yeah, so I work with the NEAT program at Energy Outreach Colorado, and we do these types of upgrades at nonprofits all across the state. And one of the best measures that we see for the quickest payback, meaning the time it will take for the savings to pay for the cost of the project, is lighting upgrades. So I wanted to just provide a quick example today of this opportunity. So very cookie cutter example, but you have your 60-watt incandescent bulb upgraded with a 9-watt LED bulb. So a little bit of quick math here. If you're decreasing the wattage by 51 and you have the lights on roughly 10 hours a day, put in the energy costs, which of course we know fluctuate and are on the higher side right now. Just for that one bulb in 1 year, you could generate $15 in savings. So that's just one. Multiply that by several or hundreds, depending on your building size and hours of use. It can definitely add up. And not only is this saving in the immediate operating costs on your monthly bill, but it is going to really save on those capital replacement and maintenance costs over time, because these bulbs are proven to have a longer lifespan. So you won't have to pay someone to come out and change them. And they are really just, it's the whole idea is that it would generate savings all around as well as use less energy. So have that component of eco-friendliness as well. So if you want to switch to the next slide for me. Perfect. So yeah, in addition to lighting, that is a really good measure. Like I said, has a quicker payback because of the savings that are generated. But here are some other upgrades that we see that specifically would probably fit in the scope of this grant amount that could be won at the pitch competition. So some low flow faucet and shower head aerators. You would be surprised at how much gas is actually used because of hot water, or I guess electric if you have an electric water heater, when you're running sinks and showers at your agencies. So we can send aerators. Well, this you could install them. Programmable thermostats, same thing, so that you have control over when people are away versus in occupancy. There isn't just thermostats getting left at 72 on a cold winter day at the end of the day when it may need to be closer to 65 at night. That's a really good feature that's rather affordable to install. Weather stripping around leaky doors is another great opportunity for savings. Everywhere there's those gaps in building science and principles 101, that's just kind of money going out through those cracks. So anywhere we can air seal, and that is the same for window caulking. New windows are incredibly expensive. So caulking is a lower cost measure where you can save some of the energy costs by sealing with some type of material there. There's all different types, but that's where we would recommend. If you're not sure, if you have a facilities coordinator, that's great. If you needed to touch base with the contractor, we can give recommendations for those. Through my program, I have an extensive list. So obviously it's cheaper to do in-house, but when there's limited resources, always happy to make those connections. Another measure would be Energy Star appliances. So anything from refrigerators to freezers, dishwashers, washing machines, dryers. When those are rated Energy Star, they do meet some pretty stringent criteria. for their energy usage, and that in turn can turn into bill savings. So if you were to write a pitch to propose, maybe replacing your refrigerator from 2001 with a newer Energy Star model, it's normally very clearly labeled on like Home Depot and Lowe's listings. So that's kind of a easy low-hanging fruit to grab onto. And then the final measure would be insulation. I would say this is probably the most costly, but depending on your building size and what needs insulated, it may be within the realm of possibilities for this pitch competition, especially if your organization has some funds to contribute to the project as well. But hot water pipe insulation, there are lots and lots and lots of exposed copper pipes that we see at our nonprofits. And that's something that most folks don't even think of. It's just when the boiler or the water heater is installed. If the contractor doesn't specialize in doing that insulation, normally it's just never done and then never looked at again. But that is a place where energy savings can be recaptured for sure. And then if you want to flip to the next slide, I can show you an example. So this was one of our neat projects in 2021. It was at Centro San Juan Diego here in Denver. They serve the community through a lot of different services. And their attic actually had no existing insulation whatsoever, which normally we see some thin layer or some damaged layers, but this was one where they just didn't have a single thing in that attic. And we brought it up to R60, which is the efficiency value on that insulation that looks like snow over there. And this was 8,000 square feet. So it was a really large building and really large attic. And the project was about $28,000. But you normally don't see it where there's nothing existing. So that will cut down some of the costs for the project. And then also, if your building is significantly smaller, or if you propose to do just a certain section of the building, that might make it more reasonable to accomplish this type of project with this program. But the organization was, extremely grateful for these funds to do this improvement. And right away, they were noticing that in the winter, it was staying warmer. And in the summer, it was staying cooler without having to adjust the temperature drastically. So then they were able to change the set points on their rooftop heating and cooling unit, which then would save on the heating and cooling costs and didn't ultimately sacrifice the occupant comfort, which is always the goal because, don't want to have to be cutting corners and making people uncomfortable. That is most definitely in building science, the number one thing, occupant comfort to consider. So that is just a few of the examples I have, but definitely feel free to be creative. There are lots of different ways to save energy efficiency, and spec sheets for different products or types of ceiling materials will have those energy factors listed on them. So not limited to anything that we presented today. Really want to look at this as a case by case, how your organization could benefit from the funding.
Great, thanks so much, Emma. That was very helpful. So now we want to open it up to you guys, and we would love to hear some questions from you, and we'll answer whatever you have. Yeah, Moshe, go ahead.
Are there sort of what's considered a small nonprofit, and how, like, I saw in the frequently asked questions that I just looked up that there was a $1 million operating budget cap. So does that totally if an organization has over $1 million, should they not bother at all with this program?
Yeah. So here at the Office of Nonprofit Engagement, we use that 1 million operating costs as it helps us define small nonprofit versus large nonprofit. So even if you do have an operating budget for your organization over that 1 million, we still suggest that you apply. We don't want to exclude anyone from getting funds for energy efficiency needs that they might have.
Cool. Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
I have several questions, but one,
Sure.
and you might have said this, so say 10 people apply to be in the pitch competition, then you will choose 4 different folks to be in the actual competition, and all 4 of those will receive some sort of funding. So if you're if you're chosen to be part of the final pitch, you're guaranteed something. Is that true?
Yes, correct, correct. And I know Will and I in our office are thinking of ways for if we have more than 4 applicants, so therefore people that won't make the finalists.
Mhm.
You know, we're still developing ways that we can still have those organizations benefit from coming to the conference. And so that will be information that we pass to all people that provide proposals to us.
Great. And I know you and I have chatted offline about our
Yeah.
specific situation, but ours is a new build of the complete building will be new. The construction of the building won't be happening until next year, but the design team that we have hired focuses on sustainability, and a lot of the design that we'll be doing is around exactly all of this stuff, and making sure that long term our nonprofits operational costs are at a minimum, by building a really strong building, good envelope, and all of that. So just to confirm, that all sounds okay. We should still participate, even though it's not at all going to be like a pitch, like doing attic insulation. Like our project is a $7 million project.
Yeah, we you know, when you came to us, we thought that was a really creative way for your organization to, if you were to receive these funds, to apply it. There is that I put it in the FAQ guide, but there is a deadline to be able to spend the funds by December 1st of 2023 of this year. So as long as your proposal meets the guidelines of our pitch competition, and you can spend the funds by December 1st, there's no reason why you shouldn't apply. And Will, did you want to add on to that?
No, I think when your scenario came to us, we kind of huddled about it because, we were thinking physical buildings that were already existed. But as we talked it through, we would actually think many organizations should put these kind of elements into their planning. And
Right.
so we understand how there are different phases of construction, and at certain phases, there are elements that had to be considered at that stage that may not appear until later on. And so we were thinking of like, yeah, we should invest in trying to get people to think more about how do you make buildings smarter and more energy efficiency. So that's when we came down on the side of saying, yeah, we think someone doing a new build, as long as they, have the documentation to show that, this investment, this planning at this stage will have an investment impact later on.
Right.
And that what they're proposing, so whether it's some sort of design element, that the funds get spent, within the designated time, it still makes sense.
Great, thank you. I'll let others ask questions and then can come back.
Sure.
This is Daryl from New Hope. My question is, then do I understand it that there's no cap on the size of the project you can suggest or pitch?
So for example, or go ahead, Will.
No, I was just going to say, no, if I'm understanding your question, whether or not you do a $500 project or a $1 million project, you're saying, we're saying that you're only going to get $9,000 if you're the winning bidder. And so part of that becomes feasibility, right? And so that, knowing that the funding you get, if you have a $200,000 project, and I mean, it's going to impact our decision as to whether or not a $2,500 prize is going to help you with a $200,000. So again, it becomes an issue of feasibility. So again, we would ask that if you're submitting a proposal that, it needs to be in the range of some of the prices that we're looking at. So it doesn't make, to us, it wouldn't make sense to do a large scale project that you're only going to get less than 1% of the funding to cover it, unless you have that budget available. And so if you called that out and said, we got, you know, $990,000, and this 9,000 gets us over the hump. And I'm being a little facetious because this is my deacon at my church, or my trustee. And so, but yeah, Daryl, it's really about feasibility. So if we're just asking if you be thoughtful about the cost of the project or the projected cost of the project and need to land it. It doesn't have to be exact, but we would expect some realism with regard to what the prize money can fund or contribute to funding, if that makes sense.
And I do believe there is a question in the application asking if there's if you have other funds that you can contribute towards the project as well. So I think that is where you kind of explain, if you have a $15,000 project, but you want to go for the $9,500 prize, then, you know, you can explain to us maybe how you'll cover those other
Right.
costs and things like that. So again, you know, if it is over, as Will said, just be mindful about how much it's over, and if you have other funds to help contribute to that.
What level of like technical expertise are you expecting with some of these sustainability things? They can get really detailed and in the weeds, but I'm assuming that we should be imagining that we're talking to a bunch of other nonprofit folks who are at this conference. And so like the level of the slide that you showed, Emma, that had kind of the cost breakdowns and why it's a good thing, like that's as deep as it's going to get? Or are you going to have someone on a panel that's going to be grilling us about, I don't know, watts and how heat pumps work and stuff? I don't know.
Yeah, so we won't be grilling anyone by any means about stuff like that. We're just hoping that you show some insight and some thoughtfulness with your proposals, and that you've really kind of, you know, worked through them with your organization. And yeah, but we're not going to grill you on and say, you know, please break down all of your light bulbs that you have in every single one and give us the cost benefit analysis. So yeah.
That's a different grant. But it's really about, I think it's impact is what we're looking for, right? And so, because again, as we were talking at the beginning, we're looking at if we can save you a few dollars that you can apply back to, you know, sponsoring a family that you might not have been able to sponsor. I mean, that's, at the end of the day, it's about that impact. So again, it's not so much because we don't claim to be energy experts, but we're looking for how energy kind of intersects or blends with your overall mission. So we're looking for that kind of connectability, and at the end of the day, the impact that we think it can have on your overall mission. So it'll be more along those lines, more than wattages and kilowatts.
Exactly. And I do believe there's another question in the application that points towards this, is how do you see a project like this helping your community? And you know, that's really why we have this also energy equity and energy justice theme to our conference this year, because we understand how some of this plays into the community and the services that everybody provides to their community as well. So as Will said, yeah, that's the kind of connection that we're looking for. And, you know, if you are able to save money, what can you do with those operational costs that were saved?
But be clear. I mean, that we will have some expectation that, you know, you really explored your buildings, and you have some understanding of what your energy costs are. So again, it doesn't have to be a PhD in energy efficiency.
Yes.
It could just be a good solid junior college understanding.
Any other questions?
I feel like when I first read the proposal, there was something about like a coach for the pitch competition. Is that a thing that's happening anymore, or is that not?
It is. It is not. Yeah,
Okay.
we just with the level of recruiting coaches and that sort of thing, it just came down to timing. And so, we probably will look at that again for next year because we're going to keep this going. But just this year, we thought it better to just have this kind of an information session and just open ourselves up to say, hey, as you're going through your proposal, reach out to us if you have questions ongoing, and we can respond to the best that we can. And so, but getting those coaches was a little big of a lift and that we could pull off in this first year.
And we will have access to like a presentation, a slide to show a slideshow or something as
Absolutely.
part of it. Okay.
Yes. Mhm. And Emma, I think you kind of touched on this, but did you have some recommendations of how, let's say if they have some questions about what sorts of projects too, or specifically like if they don't know where to start, do you have any suggestions for anybody on that?
Yeah, I would say definitely just with the dollar amount here and what's available, specific is best. So if you are looking at LED lighting upgrades and you have no idea how much it would cost, on the packaging, if it's the screw-in type bulbs, the packaging has really good baselines for the savings that will be generated. But if it's more specific, like you would have to have a contractor come in and do fixtures, a lot of contractors will provide those bids free of cost, just to come out and look at the site for you. And I will actually drop my email in the chat. If you needed anyone specific, I have a few great options for lighting, window sealing, and weather stripping on doors and insulation. We work with them a lot, so they never mind coming out and giving a bid, even if, in the end it doesn't work out and they can't, and the project doesn't happen in actuality. At least you would have a frame of reference to write the proposal on and know how much matching funds would be needed or something like that. So I am just dropping that in the chat right now. Feel free to reach out for those. And another thing, I'm thinking, I know everyone is stretched for capacity, and this is, a somewhat time-consuming process. I would say if you have like a dishwasher or a refrigerator that can be replaced, or maybe multiple, that to me seems like it would be a quicker measure, especially if you're using those every day in your operations. We work a lot with like homeless day shelters that are washing people's clothes day in and day out. So really upgrading that washing machine is going to be a huge improvement. And that seems like it would be a less intensive, cost justification and energy analysis that would be needed to prove those savings.
Great, thanks so much, Emma. And we'll update the website with some contact information as well, so you can find that information there too. Okay. Will, any parting thoughts before we give people their lunch hour back?
Let the pitching begin.
All right. Well, we thank all of you for coming and attending this information session. I know I'm really looking forward to reading through some of these proposals and hearing some pitches from you guys. And I think it's going to be a great conference. So yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you all. And please don't forget, if you haven't registered, you need to register for the conference. That will help us also make sure that you're registered for the conference and you get all of the updates and email updates that we're sending out. When you get your confirmation email, you'll also have the ability to register for our networking reception that's after the conference as well, where you'll be able to meet presenters and other members of our planning committee for the conference. And again, that's where we will where we'll announce the finalists. So we're looking forward to it. And yeah, please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.